Mother-daughter relationship is one of the most beautiful relationships any woman can have. I can attest to that. But what does it mean when mothers and daughters don't get along, and how do you fix it? Licensed psychologist and author Dr. Erik Fisher is here now to explain. I know what happens. I do. I'm very fortunate that I don't know what that is, but I know what happens. And boy, I'm telling you, that's a bond, mother-daughter.
Yeah.
And there have got to be some trigger points. There's got to be something that's causing this friction among mothers and daughters.
Sometimes that bond can be a double-edged sword too, because there's situations where mothers who love too much and daughters who please too much. We have to look at the idea of a mother is she is primarily still, even though our culture is changing, still the primary caretaker for the children. She also at some level has to feel like she's teaching her daughter not only to be successful as an individual woman, but also to be successful as a future mother. So often what you have is mothers who want to be in their daughter's space so much and teach them so much that the daughter never gets the chance to show their mom, see, I'm good too. Moms who give too many suggestions, moms who are always correcting, and then what we have to look at there is the idea of, is imperfection an option with daughters sometimes? Because often, because if I am not perfect as a parent, I don't want to see that in my daughter. I don't want my daughter to fail because I failed, because I have to be good and strong and right as a mom so my children can be good and strong and right as children.
That's a lot of pressure on a child.
It is, and we look at our, we look at the level rates of eating disorders in women and young girls and teenagers, and a lot of that is a drive for perfection underneath that. Moms often don't see that they're pushing their kids so well because they have every positive intent to help them be good, as well as then there are moms with more, and parents, total between dads too, with their narcissistic tendencies who can say, you have to be good to make me look good. And in that way, that's dysfunction because the child becomes an extension of the parent.
What about those moms, I like to call it keeping score. I spent 15 hours in labor delivering you, and I've sacrificed, my life for you.
That's a martyr. A martyr is what I call a victimized rescuer. In other words, I've done all these things for you, and you just take advantage of me. You don't care for me. And when we get martyrs, we put a condition on love. And love becomes a string to be tugged. That's not unconditional, which totally destroys trust in a relationship. So when we look at any relationship between parent and child disintegrating, it's usually when trust has been compromised and damaged and wounded.
Can mothers be jealous of their daughters?
Absolutely, because often we have done our best to try to help our kids have the best opportunities that they can, even better than ours. There are also those who feel like their daughters are just more naturally skilled at them because they don't feel confident in themselves. Jealousy lets us know when somebody else has something that we want. It's not something that we have to have. And when we listen to jealousy and what it's trying to tell us, then we can often listen to what we need to change from and grow from within ourselves.
What is, in your words, real, feel, ideal? What is that?
Well, we have to look at ourselves as when I'm working with moms and daughters, and I do, I'm often helping both people to see what is the ideal self you're presenting to the world, and why are you having a hard time seeing that, and what's the real self that you're really showing that your kids are seeing, because often below that is the feel that we don't want to feel, because again, as a parent, if we're good and strong and right, we don't feel bad and wrong and weak, and that's the pressure we put on ourselves. So often I'm helping moms and daughters to work together, and for moms to really listen.
That's number one.
Exactly. Don't listen and then say no or disagree. Listen and say, well, how did you get there? Why did you feel that way? What did I do? And then also, therapy is often helpful because of parents' blind spots and a child's ability, no matter what age they are, the child's inability to really address the issues with their mom straightforward because they become the little girl again when they're having difficulties.
So it sounds like mom has to lead the way in this.
Absolutely, because you are always the parent. And I don't, I'm sorry, I don't care what age you are as a parent, you still have to know your child is still going to at times feel like your little girl or your little boy, and therefore you have to have the courage, the strength, and the wisdom to acknowledge your blind spots and to be willing to change to enhance your relationship with your children, whether it be a mother or a child, a son or a daughter.
Does the father play a role in this in any way?
It does, because a father can either moderate the relationship and help to work things through and help them to talk things through, or they can continue to dissolve and break down the relationship either by remaining disengaged and letting them handle it themselves, or by being overly engaged and sometimes pulling the child in and pulling the daughter in and playing rescuer. When the father plays rescuer, that undermines the relationship not only of the mother and daughter, but of the husband and wife, which can be very destructive.
And like you said, you counsel, so therapy is always an option.
Always, always, always. And I do recommend that in a lot of situations, just to get even a few sessions of insight can be better than none at all. And even bibliotherapy, reading a mother-daughter book together and talking about it when your daughter's 14, 15, 16, or even an adult, or even having kids. A lot of these issues will come up between mothers and daughters when the daughters are getting ready to have kids or after they have kids, because then they see it differently.
That's really, really great advice. It really is. I hope that helped someone today.
Me too.
For more information on Dr. E or today's topic, just click on the viewer